At round 6 of this year's American Le Mans Championship, the series made its first ever visit to Trois-Rivières in Canada. The Audi of Pirot and Biela started on pole with Johnny Herbert and Stefan Johansson alongside, but a first corner incident with the Nighthawk saw Herbert stuck in turn 1. There were problems too for the Celine of Conrad and Borcella. And after their win in Washington, the Paynos boys were not having the best of times either. Whilst leading the GTS class, Johnny O'Connell just clipped the tyre wall and moved down to second place, but continued with front-end damage. In the GT class, it was the now familiar nose-to-tail battle of the Alex Joe Porsches as they scrapped around the tight street circuit. The 56 Phil Beam was class leader in the LMP 675s. Johnny Herbert had had a busy stint making up the ground that was lost after the start before Stefan Johansson took over from him. It was a busy drive for the team of the #1 Audi as they made their way through traffic as race leaders and then dropping to second place. And the story of the race was the #2 Audi, which started in 20th place on the grid and had now scythed its way through to take the lead and onto the win. That well-deserved win helped Tom Christensen and Dindo Capello to increase their lead in the 900 class over Audi teammates Frank Biela and Emanuele Pirot. In the 675 category, John Field leads Ben Devlin. The #3 Corvette of Ron Fellows and Johnny O'Connell lead the GTS class, and Sasha Masson and Lucas Law lead the GT class. It seems a long time since the championship started off with a 12-hour marathon race at Sebring, but the action has been fast and relentless as the teams and drivers make their way around the States and into Canada. And it's to the second race in Canada that the spotlight is turned now. Just east of Toronto is the Mosport circuit, where for the first time in 2 races, the drivers will face a true circuit, and this one is incredibly fast. This is the 3rd year for the American Le Mans here, and it already looked as if there'd be one of the biggest crowds arriving for years. A test session the day prior to the start of qualifying provided a few incidents for some of the teams, and the weather had been very wet, but good conditions had finally returned. The weekend started well for the Alex Joe Porsche of class championship leaders Lucas Law and Sasha Masson. They quickly established pole ahead of their teammates, but by race day, an unexpected problem had forced changes.
My teammate Lucas is a little bit big, and so we changed now the driving strategy. I will start the race, and we will try to give him the minimal amount of laps that is necessary to score points, because he's having a big flu and big problems tonight, so he's not feeling so well.
There was drama in qualifying in the Conrad Motorsport pit as well, but it was to end up being of the good variety. They had struggled through the 20-minute qualifying session with the Corvettes leading the class, but then luck changed for the Celine team.
Today we lost the wheel, and that was a big problem for us. You know, it's a mental problem. You lose wheels here on this track. You know, it's so fast, and then we get out for the qualifying, and then we had some vibration in the tires. And that made me not happy, and then we stopped the car, bring the tires back and rebalance the tires, and then we only have 7 minutes left, and I say, buddy, go, do the best what you can, and he did it. So he did a quite good job. The whole team did a good job, but we were very happy.
In the 675 class, it was the 37 car of John Field that secured pole for that class. He lost out on prime grid position last time out, but was a lot happier here with the Intersport Lola that has struggled somewhat with reliability in past races.
The car had brake problems on a small circuit, so on these big ones it doesn't have a cooling problem, but we've addressed that and we put some coolers on the brakes, so we should be in good shape on Miami as well. But these fast circuits, the car likes it. It's really good on them, so we have a lot of fun here too.
It's been a busy time for Paynos driver Brian Herter. After the race at Trois-Rivières, he flew to England, where he tested for the European Minardi Formula One team in a hope to secure a drive.
For me, it's something of a dream to sample a Formula One car and to have driven one. I think now I've driven some of the greatest types of racing cars in the world, and hopefully I get a chance to do it again in some form or another later on.
But ironically, at a circuit that's owned by Don Panos, the Panos team were having a nightmare at Mosport and struggled in qualifying to 8th place, and with no immediate answers to their problems.
We've just really struggled, and it's got us a bit confused at the moment because obviously we've had 2 strong races the last 2. Granted, this is a different track, but it's got us stumped a little bit right now. We're going to have to make some pretty big changes going into the race, see if we can't make the improvement that we need.
And it was the same for teammates Magnussen and Brabham too. The Cadillacs were going well here, though, with Eric Bernard and Emmanuel Collard qualifying 5th only days after Cadillac announced the end of the racing project at the end of this season. And part of the reason for their strength here was a lot of testing on the Canadian circuit prior to the event.
With very fast corner, it's very challenging for the driver because you have 3 corners very fast, and it's not easy for everybody.
JJ Leto and Manx Anginelli in the number 8 North Star Cadillac went even better, taking 4th place. Johnny Herbert just clinched 3rd in the champion Audi from the Cadillac in the dying moments of the session. The privateer R8 was lying 5th until it all came together on a hot lap after suffering from a lack of grip in the earlier part of the session, but Herbert was definitely loving it here.
It's such a great circuit. Obviously with history it's got, but to actually drive on it, it's awesome because it's really like Spa without a Rouge, but a shorter version. And I just find that really enjoyable. With a lot of ups and downs and off cambers, and that's always, I think, a good thing for a driver because technically it's very, very difficult.
After that sensational win at the last round and a good lead in the championship, Tom Christensen and Dindo Capella had another win in mind here.
We are leading the championship, so we have to score good points every time. Maybe not necessarily to win, although that's definitely what we will try to do, but maybe not for every sake in the world.
And winning is something that has eluded the number 1 team for a while, and both Frank Biela and Emanuele Pirro were happy to be on a circuit where the Audi can really fly.
The Audi performs a lot better in fast corners, so we enjoy driving a lot more in circuits like here, where you have 4, 5th gear corners very fast. So this circuit has been very welcome.
An Audi top 3 for the grid, and with Paynos struggling, it's only the Cadillacs that could mount any form of threat in the 900s, but then you always have to expect the unexpected. Little rain overnight close by to the circuit, but conditions are dry and perfect here. A slight cooling breeze, a welcome to the hordes of spectators that have been arriving all weekend here to see what should be a thrilling race for all that are concerned with it. It's back again to the regular 2-hour and 45-minute race format here. 2.49 miles or 3.957 kilometers per lap. The fastest lap record is held from last year by Emanuele Pirro, but Frank Biela unofficially broke that this weekend. The same pairing won here last year, ahead of Jan Magnussen and David Brabham. So the opening ceremony just about over. The instruction will be given very soon to clear the grid, the drivers in their cars, and this is how they will form up then for this second race in Canada here at the Mosport circuit. Certainly expect it to be a good race. So Frank Biela and Tom Christensen on the front row in the Audi R8. But what about those Cadillacs? Could be quite interesting indeed as to what happens with those. A couple of warm-up laps first of all, before the rolling start that will see them take off for this race, and they get away this time, and it's perfect for Pirro. Looked to be very bad though for Johnny Herbert, because a Cadillac was very close in front of him. Rob Fellows is past the Celine already as well, so he's now leading the GTS class. Got a good jump on the Celine, but how will it play out? We'll have to wait and see. Frank Biela leads Dindo Capello in that number 2 Audi, currently in second place. And then it's JJ Leto in that Cadillac North Star. Stephanie Hansen 4th place after losing one. And Emmanuel Collard in 5th place. David Brabham 6th place. Then the first 675 car of John Field in 7th place. And then back to the second Panos, number 51. And Bill Orbelain currently there in 8th place. So all very close, as we would expect them to do at the beginning of the race. And I'm sure we'll start seeing some pressure applied as the cars and the drivers get settled in and get up to temperature. A little burst of sparks from the Cadillac there, I think, as it just skipped over a bump. But this is a superb circuit. It's great for spectators, it's great for the teams, and it's just absolutely riveting in places. So it's all gone well at the front of this race so far for the number 1 Audi. They really do need a win. They have felt that quite conscious that they haven't won for a while. And championship-wise, well, that's a different matter. There's number 50, that's David Brabham, currently in 6th place in the Panos. Stephanie Hansen with Collard behind him in 5th place. And the number 8 Cadillac looked to be closing up a little there on the back of Dindo Capello in the number 2 Audi. Under the bridge, and here's John Field with the number 51 Panos behind him. Bill Orbelain starting off the first stint, and there is the number 11 Nighthawk Lola MG. Claudia Hurtgen making her debut in that car. She absolutely adores it. Better known for driving Porsches. Took part in the FIA GT Championship for quite some time, and the Rook Porsches. And a very fast driver behind the wheel as well. And so too Frank Biela now. This is number 16. James Weaver, who started from the rear of the field in that Lola MG, had a few problems that put it at the back of the grid, but he's on his way up. He's up to 20th place at the moment. He's just passed Ben Devlin in the Lola Millington, sits 7.5, and Andy Pilgrim, and we're on board inside the helmet of James Weaver this time. And that is Ben Devlin ahead of him there, so he hadn't actually passed him, but does so now. A lot of unfortunate luck for Ben Devlin and the Archangel team. Been so close to victory. As we're back now with our race leaders, who are pretty much where they were last time we saw them. And still Frank Biela leads Dindo Capello. JJ Leto 3rd, Stephanie Hansen in 4th place. Taking the opening stint this time. We're so used to seeing Johnny Herbert. But Stephanie Hansen really getting settled into that champion Audi. He's only been there for a few races now as they go across the line. And starting to catch up now on traffic. There is number 4, that's Andy Pilgrim in the GTS class. One of the other GTS cars, the Vipers behind him. And here's a replay. This is Dindo Capello going for the lead of the race, but catches the 22 Porsche there. Bodywork has slammed off the side of that Porsche. looking to see whether there's any damage to the number 2 Audi, which now has the lead. The safety car is out. And is there any problems with that Audi? Well, it looks intact at the moment. Can't see anything from here. It is hard to tell. The team, of course, will be making sure that the telemetry isn't showing any damage to the suspension or any loss of pressure in the tyres. As we look at Frank Biela, the man that's in 2nd place in the number 1 Audi at the moment. So first caution of the race, that will allow the field to bunch up once more. Of course, they all have to hold their positions. They can't overtake whilst under caution. Double yellow flags, full caution yellow. And Dindo Capello weaves just to try and get a little bit more heat into the tyres, keep the temperatures up. Once the temperatures go down, the pressures go down. That affects the handling. You will, of course, notice to new viewers of the series, lights on the side of the car, 3 lights. One is lit on the number 2 Audi to indicate that he's first in class. Stefan Johansson's got into the pits. Johansson into the pits, and that is an early pit stop. Debris still on the track, ready to be moved out of the way, and we've got a green flag, so we're away. But Johansson into the pits, that must be a tactical move to fuel that car up to cover eventualities. So maybe nothing to lose. They're in 4th place. They know the Cadillacs are strong, and we'll see how that pans out. There's quite a few patches on the circuit as well where the surface has been repaired. As we look at number 50, and that is David Brabham. So he's still holding that 6th place that he had earlier. Well, in fact, no, he's up to 5th now because Johansson went into the pits. And John Field and Bill Orbelane fighting it out for 6th place. John Field in the 675 car, Bill Orbelane in the 900 LMP 900, Pennell's LMP 01. And there is the Nighthawk of Claudia Hurtgen, 2nd in that 675 class. James Weaver there with a great drive, and he's up to 9th place, and he's 3rd in the 675 class. Now there he is, 3 lights indicating his 3rd place, different light colours for different classes. And a traffic jam here that Dindo Capello has got to work his way through. He's through cleanly past the Viper, and it shouldn't be a problem for Frank Biela as well, but the Viper will just hold up momentarily. The Cadillac, who will get through, should get through very quickly there. But this is a lovely circuit. It's a great circuit, as Howard Katz in the number 19 Lola Nissan 675 gets dispatched by the race leaders, and the Cadillac goes through as well. High onto the curb, just touching the grass for Dindo Capello as he went through past the start-finish line onto another lap. Reminder that it's 2 hours, 45-minute duration. It's not on the number of laps. So on board now with 2nd place, a shot that we're used to seeing throughout this championship season. This is the 7th race of the championship out of 10. And Frank Biela just holding station behind that number 2 Audi as they go through the traffic once more and pass the 23 car, I think that is this time, which is the GT leader, Sasha Masson in that. And of course Lucas Law not feeling well at all, has picked up flu overnight, which has sapped a lot of his energy, but they will put him in the car. He will drive the minimum amount of laps in order to keep him at his best. And that way he can still score championship points depending upon the position that that number 23, Alex Joe Porsche, does finish. 2 Alex Joe Porsches, number 22 and number 23, so used to seeing them in conflict, and I'm sure we'll see them later on. And Dindo Capello still pushing hard, still doing well, as we see that position once more of 2nd place from Frank Biela. Keeping in touch, keeping in contention. That was a lucky move for Dindo Capello earlier to pass and take the lead, but to get away with that collision as well. And that car seems to be certainly okay. No obvious signs, no calling in to the pits by the team. And into the pits is number 37, John Field. The car has been smoking, and he's come into the pits, and it looks as if it's going to be a retirement. What bitter disappointment. He was leading the 675 class, and what do they have to do? But that means now that the 675 class leader is now Claudia Hurtgen in the number 11 Nighthawk. So good for them. James Weaver, of course, will move up another place now and also moves into second place in the 675 class.
The car was really great up till we had the engine problem. I had, Brabham right where I wanted. I could see his tires were either going off or something was happening there, and I was in position to pass. I actually passed him. I don't know if the caution had come out in that corner. I saw it in the next one, so I just let him back line. The car was handling wonderful. It was running great. Power was great. As soon as the restart happened, the engine felt soft, and then by 2 laps, it was gone.
Well, one man's misfortune is another woman's fortune. Claudia Hurtgen into the 675 lead. And that is a very slow James Weaver. Surely not problems for them. What a disappointment. Hand up just to warn the other drivers and, of course, the track officials and marshals that he has a problem. And that is going to be a retirement, I think. We're on board, though, with Stefan Johansson in the Audi R8. Making his way back up after that very early pit stop. And here's an incident with the Viper, and also number 30 Mark Newhouse in the Lola Judd, the 900. And what a disappointment. So, number 1 in and out of the pits. Emanuele Pirro now takes over that drive of the number 1 Audi. And there is consternation in the Cadillac pit because the number 7 car has been in and worked on whilst the pit lane was closed. And now this is Eric Bernard in that North Star Cadillac coming in for a stop and go penalty. So that's going to lose them quite a few positions. So unfortunately, disappointment for them. That's how it worked out. The pit lane was closed, so it is in for a 10-second stop and go penalty. On board with the number 8 Cadillac as he's passed by the number 1 Audi. And JJ Leto has been into the pits, has taken on new tyres and fuel. And let's see how quickly the Audi can pull away. Let's see the difference in these cars. And the Audi just pulls away a little bit. The Cadillac's trying hard to stay in contention with that car. So with the way the pit stops have played out, these two are back in the positions they're in now, which is the number 1 car ahead in second place. And there is our race leader, Tom Christensen, in that car, having taken over from Dindo Capello. You're looking at Lucas Law, who is not feeling well at all. He's taken over from Sasha Masson in the 23 car, the leading Porsche in the GT class. And that is Johnny Herbert behind him, who's taken over from Stefan Johansson. And there you get a true idea of how much difference in the power of the Porsche as against the Audi. That looked like a Panos that was creeping up behind that Porsche as well. That 6-cylinder water-cooled Boxster 3598cc engine. Into the pits is the number 11 Nighthawk, and it looks like problems. Smoke has been spotted from the back of that car. And Steve Knight, who took over from Claudia, is into the pits. And it looks like there is a small oil fire on board. And here's a replay of a whole gaggle of cars just trying to get past each other. Johnny Herbert goes very close on the inside of that Cadillac to get past the number 8 car, and that was a very, very dicey move indeed. Back with our race leader, though, and there's the 22 Porsche that we saw in collision earlier on with that very same car. They were in the pits for an awful long time, but have gone out again.
The car actually was very good. The balance is okay, performance is good. We knew before that traffic might cause a problem, and that would happen to me now. But there's still it's still a long way to go, and everything is possible.
So Frank Biela remaining optimistic. His teammate Emanuele Pirro pretty close to the back of that leading number 2 Audi now. Tom Christensen on board with that, and that is one of the Vipers that's about to be passed again. And can't tell which one it is, unfortunately. Oh, and a spinner just by turn. The last turn, that's the 0 car at turn 10, Emmanuel Naspetti in the 550 Maranello in the GT class. So he's lost a little bit of ground now. Will have very dirty tyres. And doesn't look as if he actually touched the wall. He was very lucky there. Hopefully no damage to the rear or the underneath of that car. The Ferrari has been getting better and better. They had a lot of reliability problems, but it is getting more so. It's still left behind by the Corvettes and the Salines, but tends to be faster than the Vipers, the Dodge Vipers. But the Olive Garden team, great bunch and working hard. Now, here is the number 56 car. This is Jeff Bucknam, who's taken over the lead of the 675 class with cars dropping out in front of him. He's behind the Saline there, Franz Conrad on board that, though. But Jeff Bucknam leading in the Phil Beam Nissan, and that's good news for them. Into the pits comes number 23, Lucas Law. I think we'll be very pleased to get out of that. Sasha Masson gets back in again. Johnny Herbert, in the meantime, continues on in the number 38 champion Audi. And the news is that Johnny Herbert is to come into the pits. We didn't see the incident, but it was another incident involving the number 0 550 Maranello Ferrari, and he's had a penalty imposed. Well, he's had a few close shaves, so maybe it's all added up to a penalty that's being brought in for Johnny driving very aggressively. That's what it is, the only way he knows how, as he goes past the number 13 car this time. But Johnny Herbert is going to have to go into the pits, and that is going to cost him an awful lot of time. So any time he's made up through maybe those brave moves is about to be thrown away again. So we'll have to wait and see how that puts him back in the order again. It's possible that, well, it's into the pit lane now, leaves that very, very late indeed, just trying to get as much time on the track as possible before he has to go into the pit lane, and of course has to adhere to the 60 km/h speed limits here enforced by the IMSA marshals as well. The officials that patrol this pit lane make sure that everybody is behaving in true sportsman-like behaviour, and it is just a stop and go that he's got. So now back out, and we'll have to wait and see. Oh, and look at that, that's the number 1 Audi that has gone very, very deeply into the tyre wall, and inside that car Emanuele Pirro is still there. We move to the pits where there's problems for the number 26 car, or is that? No, it is in fact a standard pit stop as Franz Conrad gets into that car this time. But it's been slowing down for quite a while, but look at the state of that Audi. Well and truly destroyed.
We have water temperature problem, and we must back up with the revs, and so I can go flat out what we can. So normally we can do 17s, 18s, and I must go back about a second, 2 seconds. We do 19s and 20s to keep the engine cooler and go finish to the race. So it's a shame. We were really in good shape here. Was a chance, nearly a chance to win here.
Well, the news is that Emanuele Pirro has been taken to the track medical centre, and it's expected that he may be moved to the Oakley local hospital as well. He's not badly injured. It is more of a precaution. All drivers involved in incidents have to see one of the medics involved just to be checked over, make sure they're all right, and it has been decided to send Emanuele Pirro to the hospital, but his injuries are not serious. So the safety car continues around whilst the wreck of that Audi R8 is removed from the circuit. So it's all change once more. Tom Christensen, of course, leads. That moves Johnny Herbert up to second place, but he is 1 lap down on Christensen. And then it's the number 8 Cadillac that will be in third place. Max Anginelli behind the wheel of that now as they get the green flag, and away they go. And it was the Archangel car and the fill beam that were the Fairy Tale Brownies fill beam that were leading that away. And we look back to see where our race leader is. There he is, just at a couple of cars back from the Celine, Terry Borchella, inside that Celine. And nothing they can do about the water temperature problems that Franz Conrad was talking about, but just have to try and keep that going. So Christensen in traffic. Oh, and touches the back of one of the, that's the number 8 Cadillac that was, or is, in 3rd place as Christensen just goes past to get the lap back. And we've seen that car involved in a few incidents. And there is the number 22 car that, again, was involved with the number 2 Audi earlier on when it first went out onto the track with Dindo Capello on board and took a chunk out the front of that Porsche. But again, that number 2 Audi looks to have survived that little incident, and quite aggressive driving going on here today. So Christensen leads this race quite considerably, in fact, 1 lap ahead of Johnny Herbert. The number 13 car gets passed by the race leader, and there is Johnny Herbert, who is about to be caught by Tom Christensen. Johnny Herbert is not going to want to be passed. Here's a replay of that incident then, and it was the closest of touches between those two. That could have been a lot worse than it actually was. But very professional drivers, of course. You're talking about these guys who are so used to lightning reactions and taking these things to the limit and using every possible inch. A wide gap is about 2 inches in racing driver terms when they passed somebody with plenty of room to spare. It's usually about 2 inches. But Johnny Herbert is not going to want to lose out on that lap now. He won't want to be lapped. It's essentially a lap down he is, all bar the actual passing manoeuvre. And you have to say it is inevitable, but Johnny Herbert won't want to be a lap down, because if there was a caution now, it could all play back into his hands again. That will be, I would imagine, the thinking inside Johnny Herbert's head, and he will try and keep Christensen ahead as long as possible, or behind him as long as possible. And we're looking at number 38 Customer Audi against the Audi Sport North America. Oh, I thought he was going to do it there, and Herbert definitely is making his intentions known. And Christensen, well, could be taking this 2 ways. He can either be grinning and enjoying this little dice, or he could be furious. And I would imagine that it's possible that there could be a little bit of talking over the pit lane, and the champion team asked to let the Audis through. But then there's no reason why they should actually let him do that. Well, we'll have to wait and see. Johnny Herbert well within his rights to do what he's doing at the moment as Christensen tries again, and again Herbert shuts the door. And I'm sure these two, being very experienced and very highly talented professional drivers, will actually be quite enjoying this little squabble. There's no fear, of course, of Christensen losing his 1st place, because the 2nd place man is right there in front of him. Problems for the number 23 Alex Joe Porsche. Sascha Masson has gone off, and gone off in a big style, shall we say, as he tries to get that Porsche back under power and back out on the race circuit again. And quite a lot of damage here. He just got it wide, got onto the grass, onto the gravel, and that was a big impact into the tyre walls there. He'll have a sore neck tomorrow. Meanwhile, our race leader Christensen is still on his way. He's got past Johnny Herbert and has left him behind in his wake. So Herbert hung on as long as he could, but Herbert's still in 2nd place, but now just over a lap down behind the race leader. And here is number 56 once more, Chris McMurray inside that car. And who's inside that car? It's Tony Burgess that's gone into the wall. Water pouring out of the radiator, and that was a big shunt as well. And that, I think, would be at turn 1, actually, just after the exit of the pit lane. And definite contact there, I think, with the Cadillac, and we've seen a lot of contact in this race so far. So quite surprising there. So that is a big shunt. That's going to take a little time to get that moved out of the way, but pleased to say that Tony Burgess is perfectly okay. We can't say that, of course, for that Porsche 911 GT3 RS, and that's the man who we think collided with him. And very close indeed, but something pushed that Porsche offline. Max Anginelli behind Brian Herter in 5th place. So you're looking at 3rd place behind 5th place at the moment. So it's all been going on, and unfortunately another retirement is the number 13 car.
The engine seemed to be fine and just let go, so it's hard to say. It's a pity because we were a lap down. We had a problem with the second driver change, but it was going well, the race, and the good pace, we could have still got it back, and things were looking like a win, so it's very hard.
Disappointment then for Ben Devlin to see his teammate have to retire that car. And once more, we're behind the familiar Audi TT, the special edition TT, actually, that they're using here as the pace car. Johnny Herbert again caught up behind our race leader Christensen, but Johnny Herbert's still a lap down. And then the number 8 Cadillac still holding on to 3rd place, Max Anginelli. And there is the number 56 car once more, the LMP 675 leader, the Fairy Tale Brownies sponsored car. Brian Willman, Jeff Buckman and Chris McMurray. Chris McMurray inside that car at the moment. The 3-litre Nissan V6 in the Philbeam P84 chassis. We're looking back the onboard camera from the safety car, and now trackside with one of the effects cameras that was actually knocked over by one of the support races. So green flag, and we're away. Back under pressure once more. Christensen beautifully away from Johnny Herbert, and I'm sure Johnny Herbert was hoping to try and get a jump there and get past that for that lap again, but it didn't work out. So Johnny Herbert on board with him, a lap down behind the race leader in the Audi that you can see ahead there. Lovely circuit. It is quite narrow, actually. It's quite surprising, but a beautiful circuit set in around this woodland area, and about an hour and a half or so from Toronto, in Bowmanville. Spectators spent the weekend here. They're camped all over the place. A great atmosphere here. It's a great way to go watching racing. And this circuit moves around, undulates, and through. Past Johnny Herbert is one of the Panos of Jan Magnussen, and it looks very much as if Johnny Herbert, who we're inside his helmet now, is slowed down a little bit. Well, there's not far to go before the end of this race, and Johnny Herbert may just have a slight problem with that car, but then he also knows that the Panos there wasn't actually a problem for him. If he let him past, and he's still got quite a lead over the Cadillac. But if Johnny Herbert's got a problem, can he make it all the way round? Well, hard to tell. We don't know. Is he in preservation mode, or is there something wrong with that champion Audi? We've seen that happen to him in past races. Luck has been against Johnny a few times. Just have to wait and see. Well, conditions have just been absolutely stunning here. Despite that, the track is very dusty, very dirty. A lot of the drivers were saying that they were having severe grip problems here today when they came in from their pit stops. And Johnny Herbert still continuing on, still in that 2nd place. There's our race leader. And the Panos of Magnussen continues on as well. And we would have him at the moment in 4th place behind the Cadillac. But, of course, the way that they are behind with each other in the laps is something that spices up and moves it all around. So back on board with Johnny once more. The sky has changed quite a lot here throughout the weekend. One moment it's brilliantly clear, and then next moment the clouds have come over, some very dark ones. We've had a lot of thunderstorms in this area over the last few days as well. A few spots of rain earlier on in practice yesterday, but nothing major, just a few specks of water that you could feel on your face. Jan Magnussen, well, I think the team will be pretty happy about 4th place. They really didn't know what to expect from this weekend at all, but 4th place for Brabham and Magnussen, and 5th for the second car, the 51 car.
We've been struggling to find a reasonable setup with the car, and we lost a lot of time when we had the accident on Friday. So, you know, we missed pretty much a session, so we've always been a bit behind. The car's not good on full tanks, but it seems to get better as the race goes on. But it's not a good enough package to be quick every time. So, yeah, it's been a little disappointing.
No hair, it says, on his hat. And I think he scratched a lot of it out this weekend, what little bit he did have, sorry David, and trying to figure out what they could do to improve their position here, but still 4th and 5th, they still pick up points, they're still going to get a finish, fingers crossed. So Jan Magnussen in 4th place, and another smooth drive from him. He is one of those drivers that's really, really gentle on the car, but certainly aggressive when he needs to be as well. There is Johnny Herbert in 2nd place, and I think it is just car preservation and just getting that champion Audi all the way around. Of course, nearly 2 3/4 hours of racing. These cars take an absolute punishment. Johnny Herbert driving the 2nd stint of the race this time. So up again, there's many elevation changes in this race. There's the 44 Viper and the number 19 car once more, and this is our 675 leader, and this is going to be a great result for Chris McMurray and the rest of the crew in the Philbin Nissan. And they've had their fair share of bad luck over the rounds as well, so they're going to pull in some good points and win the 675 class. And this is the battle in the Porsches. Sasha Masson actually lost the door after finally rejoining the track after that incident. Number 66, Brian Cunningham, is that leads the GT class. This is the battle for 2nd, 3rd and 4th, and currently it's being led by the number 43 car. And Leo Hendry and Peter Barron will be delighted if they can hold that 2nd place. Then it's Sasha Masson, and then Jörg Bergmeister. Sasha Masson driving longer stints here this weekend because Lucas Law, as we've already mentioned, isn't feeling very well, and Sasha Masson is right close behind that 43 car. Sasha Masson hasn't given up, and Jörg Bergmeister is there to pounce if there's any problem. And Sasha Masson was quite concerned earlier on with the problems for the 22 car because he knew that his teammate wouldn't be behind him at that point if the 23 car had problems, and he said that if we have problems, I want them to win. So the white flag is out. That means they're on the last lap, and we're on board inside the 43 Porsche, looking back at Sasha Masson, who's trying everything he can to get past, but that car of his isn't in perfect condition. The aerodynamics certainly won't be working as well, but certainly for once, Sasha Masson will be quite cool inside that. And through he goes. Beautiful move, timed that beautifully, but the 43 car is fighting back now. There was, I'm sure, a definite touch there, and has that Porsche gone off? We've lost a Porsche. The 23 car has gone off as our race leader Christensen comes upon that battle, and I believe he would have had a grandstand view, and there is the 23 car that has just lost 2 more places. Here's a repeat then, and we look back, there's the 23 car just inside the right-hand rear, and a bit of glare from the sun as we go through, and tries to go through after this, tries to go through up the inside, and there's contact, and Sasha Masson will now run wide, and more damage caused to that car. And that was definitely brilliant driving, controlled stuff there, and Sasha Masson was outwitted and outpaced. Not the scenario at all for Tom Christensen and Dindo Capello, as they are now Only fraction of this circuit to go before they see the checkered flag, and there it is out of the final turn, and the flag is waved just before they go underneath the bridge, and Tom Christensen plumes up a little bit of smoke. Dindo Capello joins the Audi mechanics. Look at the state of that Porsche. Well, he's still going, albeit very slowly indeed, but he just has to cross the line. He is nursing that car over. Oh, here's a different view then. And we just see the slightest of nudges, but that was enough to send Sasha Masson off. Through goes his teammate, and he just kept that out the tyre walls as well. And, well, he's got to cross the line. He's made it. And another win for that number 2 Audi. And a brilliant race. They got past and took that position very early on indeed. And Jan Magnussen, I think, has to be delighted with that finish as well. 4th place. And best, really, they could hope for, and I'm sure they might not have expected that earlier on. Another good victory then for Tom Christensen, and Dindo Capello making it 2 in a row this time. Stefan Johansson and Johnny Herbert 2nd, whilst the Cadillac of JJ Leto and Max Anginelli make the podium in 3rd place. Ron Fellows' Johnny O'Connell finished 7th overall and win the GT class ahead of teammates Andy Pilgrim and Kelly Collins. Jeff Bucknam and Brian Wilnham and Chris McMurray take the 675 class win. Kevin Buckler and Brian Cunningham the GT class. So Tom Christensen finally gets out of the car. Dindo Capello's there. So Tom Christensen extends his championship lead with Dindo 2nd, Johnny Herbert 3rd. John Field heads Ben Devlin in the 675s. Ron Fellows with a 9-point lead over partner Johnny O'Connell, whilst in the GT, Sasha Masson and Lucas Law are in charge of that.
I think that we had the luck on our side, but we did our very best. And then in the end, it was not that easy as well. I had to put a lap on Johnny, and he didn't really want to do that. But it was great racing. And after we got the yellow, I was in front of him. Thumbs up from to him and from him. So that's great. I appreciate that's good racing. And today, from Dindo and me, it's just stay confident. We used the setup from yesterday, which was we believe was good. It wasn't quick yesterday, but it was the right for the race.
Denied a win on home ground at Trois-Rivières. Ron Fellows gets it this time, and Johnny O'Connell might just be made an honorary Canadian, having partnered him to the win.
You know, everyone on the GM Corvette team, Pratt Miller, did an amazing job. And, you know, Ron had a great first stint, and, you know, the guys had a super pit stop. I had a good lead and then just pushed really, really hard. And, you know, was listening to lap times and, you know, was fortunate enough to be able to get a lap on the Saline. And, yeah, we were really strong. So it was a good day for us. You know, maybe we got our rhythm going again. And, you know, I felt real bad about Three Rivers. And so I certainly wanted to make a statement, and it went well.
As the celebrations continue on the podium, there's a little sadness for the Audi team in that the number 1 Audi crashed out and they didn't get the repeat 1, 2, 3 that they wanted. But there's also relief that Emanuele Pirro is okay and was taken to hospital after a precaution, as losing consciousness for a short time after the crash. So there are 3 more rounds to go now in this year's championship. Next, it's to Laguna Seca in California, which should no doubt be another exciting race. Then to the streets of downtown Miami before the finale at the Petit Le Mans at Road Atlanta.